Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show we're going to be talking about Resaw. Most of the projects that I make out of rough cut lumber, and then I resaw it down and plane to the thickness that I require. There's lots of different methods for resawing, and today I'm going to show you mine. So the first step for me for a resaw job is I've got this 8/4 inch chunk of walnut here, and I need some 3/4 pieces. So first things first, being rough cut lumber, I'm going to take it over to the jointer and give myself two perpendicular surfaces. If you guys aren't sure how to go about this, you can check out my jointer methods video also on this YouTube channel. But for now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to joint this board, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Well, now that the board is jointed and we have two flat surfaces perpendicular to each other, we now want to set up our bandsaw for the resaw. In this particular instance, I would like to end up with a 3/4 inch board on the final process. So you need to cut a little thicker in this area here to allow for the surface or the thickness planing of the final milling of the board. There's lots of methods to use for resaw, but the one that I like is this fence that I've constructed out of 3/4 inch plywood. I have a 7-inch fence here and an 11-inch height fence here with dados holding 90-degree corners, and this way the fence is reversible. If I'm cutting an 8-inch board, I can use this 7-inch side. If I'm cutting a 10 or 11 or a 12-inch board, I could use this larger side to get the support that I need. In general, I leave 1/8 inch extra stock for extra milling and mess ups and blade deflection. Some will say that's a little excessive, but this is my video and this is the way that I like to do it. So I leave 1/8 extra material. So because I'm looking for 3/4 in the final milling, I set my blade gap here at 7/8 of an inch. So this particular resaw fence is just C-clamped to my table of my bandsaw. From there, you want to check your bandsaw, so we'll go through that. So when setting up, there's several things that you need to check. I've already discussed, of course, this distance between your resaw fence and your blade. When measuring that, make sure that you're measuring to the proper tooth. Of course, the teeth are offset on the blade, and you want to measure to the tooth that is closest to the saw, or to the fence rather. That's what gives you your kerf. If you go and measure to the outside one, you'll actually end up with less material. For a half decent resaw blade, you're going to be looking at about 3 teeth per inch. This one here is a 1-inch thick blade with 3 teeth per inch, and it does me rather well. You want to check to make sure that this fence is square to your table. Now, you can do it with a square, and as you can see there, it's nice and square, but you also want to check your blade to make sure that that is square to the table. It's very important that the blade be square as to the table, as well as the fence That way you know that your blade is parallel with your fence. If either one of these are off, you're going to end up with a poor quality cut. Of course, I featured this little guy before, my tilt box, and this is my preferred method. So of course we'll zero that out and just snap it on the blade, and you can see there that we're at 0, and then we'll just hold it up against our fence, and you can see there that I'm off by 0.25 degrees. Oh, 0.15. So we've got a bit of discrepancy here, and that could be just play in my fence, or it could be my shaky hands not holding it right. There we go. If I hold it tight against there, we're at 0. Either way, we're all set up and we're ready to go. To get started on your resaw, you want to have the flat surfaces that you ran through the jointer against your fence and against the bed of your saw. And you basically want to hold this tight against your fence, adjust your guide bearings or guide blocks down as close as possible to your stock, and with push blocks you want to hold this against the fence and gently feed it through. Let the saw do the work. You don't want to be ramming this through and pushing it through and burning up your blade or burdening your saw with an extra load. Let the blade do the work. Once you've touched your stock onto the blade, you can back it out. I've probably cut maybe about 1/8 or a little more of an inch there. You just want to back it out and double check your measurement to see that it is the right thickness that you require. In this case, it's 7/8 of an inch, and that's what I set it at, and that's what I want. So we can now go back and carry on with this cut. Alright, so we've got our board cut, and you can see up here the difference between this jointed side and of course this side that we've just done the resaw on. There's quite a few saw marks, and don't let that freak you out. Depending on the quality of blade that you use and what kind of a cut your saw is giving you, those saw marks are inevitable, and they'll be from the slightest degree to the big gouges kind of thing, depending on your blade. The blade I use today is a little on the dull side, and I really should be getting a new one, and I think I'm going to be looking into that after filming this video. But either way, to get rid of those marks, we're going to take it over to the thickness planer. And that was the whole purpose, of course, in leaving that extra 1/8 of material. So let's head over to the thickness planer and run these boards through for their final passes to get our 3/4 inch stock. And there you have it. I don't know what the lumber prices are in your area, but I know that in my neck of the woods, 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch or whatever size of already milled and finished lumber is brutally expensive. So by resawing now, we've gone from this, our 8/4 rough cut walnut to this, which is now our walnut with the saw lines, to this, which is a gorgeous piece of 3/4 inch thick walnut, straight edges, straight surfaces, just fantastic, and for a fraction of the price that they would charge you for it already milled to its final dimension. So if you can do resaw, and if you have the equipment, being a good bandsaw and a jointer, the jointer isn't even really necessary. I did it for years without one, but again, I'm just showing you my method, and the resaw fence is definitely a bonus. It's definitely a help in doing this. Give it a try. Try doing some resaw, save yourself some money on your projects, and you're gonna love it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week with another woodworking video.